Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about how I got started in coding. I'm going to be sharing with you my story as to how I discovered coding, what I do for a job now, what I do with Tiff and Tech, and so much more. Before we go any further though, I want to make sure to do a big shout out to some of you subscribers. Thank you for your awesome comments and questions. As I always say, these are how I make videos based on, so if you haven't already, leave in the comments other videos you want to see. Also, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button for more tech and coding related videos. Also, I want to say a big shout out to Xyro for sponsoring part of this video. Xyro is a website builder that enables you to so quickly build different e-commerce websites, portfolios, business websites, all of the above, and so much more. I really love Xyro because it has extremely fast loading times for websites. Also too, it has 24/7 customer support, which is key for me as someone who usually is working on these websites during the evenings. And also too, they have built-in SEO, so you can make sure your website is ranking #1. As someone who is a developer, I can attest to saying I have the code thing down pat, but when it comes to design, that is not my strong point at all. That's another reason that I love Xyro, is because they have so many different design templates to choose from that when I'm building a website for a friend or for a business, I can have it up and running within literally minutes. It's crazy, and it looks so gorgeous too. Also, it's responsive, which is another huge factor for me, as I find a lot of people are checking our websites nowadays going from mobile to tablet and not always going to desktop. So you want to ensure that your website looks professional on all platforms. Don't worry, I got you covered because I really want you to check out Xyro, and I hope you love it as much as I do. Use the code TIFFandTech to get an additional 10% off Xyro yearly plans and a free domain for a year. I linked everything down in the description, so make sure to go check it out. Okay, let's get started with my journey into coding. Before I can really talk about when I started to learn how to code, I need to take you back a bit further. And this is because I definitely was not someone who always knew I wanted to be a software developer in the tech industry by any means. I would say I'm gonna start by taking you back to when I was 19 years old in Hong Kong doing modeling. At the time, I thought that being in Hong Kong, traveling the world, meeting new people was the most exciting thing, and it really was. I was working with some incredible brands. I was living with people from all over the world, and I really felt like it was such a wonderful and really cool experience. After being there for about a year, I was starting to feel very lost and alone. And it wasn't because of the distance from home, being away from family or friends. It was something much more than that. I just didn't know really what it was. Being there for the past year had been fun, exciting, and full of so much adventure that I couldn't really place why I would be feeling this kind of this negative way, that I just felt lost. I decided that I needed to kind of figure out what it was or why I was feeling this way. I decided though that I couldn't do that in the busy city of Hong Kong with tons of people around me and feeling just very like I was constantly going, never stopping. So I decided to move back home to Canada. Well, not directly back home, but to Canada, where I'm from. I chose Toronto mainly because it was the biggest city in Canada, and at the time I wanted to keep some of that I guess you could say city vibe, busyness going on, but just on a smaller scale. When I moved to Toronto, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt very lost and I really didn't know who I was. I felt like I had this really cool experience, but past that, I didn't know what was for me. I decided though, because I knew one thing, which was I wanted some form of formal education. So I ended up applying to Ryerson University for 2 programs. One was business and the other was graphic communications management. I got accepted first into graphic communications management and decided, okay, let's give this a try, graphic design and stuff. Still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it, but I thought, sounds cool, let's give it a try. And it was a really interesting course. It was a 4-year degree. But throughout my time there, I still thought that I would apply my learnings to the fashion industry. I thought fashion is what I know, this is what I'm good at, so I'm going to apply all my stuff directly back into it. All my internships I did were in fashion. All my networking events that I went to were in fashion. Everything was still around that industry. It was in my last year at university that it was required to take a very basic coding course. Like I'm talking HTML, CSS, maybe there was a little bit of JavaScript, but I highly doubt it. And up until that point, if you were to ask me, I would have said, I'm definitely not a computer person. But it was required, so I thought, okay, I have to take this course, let's give it a shot. And during my time taking this course, I instantly fell in love with coding. It was this whole new skill, this whole new world opened up to me that was using both sides of my brain, from the logic, problem-solving side to the creativity side. No two problems are the same, and there are multiple ways to solve different problems, which was so exciting to me and really intriguing. I kind of thought of coding as a superpower, this skill that I had now that I could build whatever came to mind, whatever kind of business idea I had, whatever app idea I wanted, I could build that. And to me, there was nothing more cooler than that. But I was faced with this crossroads. Did I want to continue where I had invested all my time, all my energy in the fashion industry? Or did I want to do a 180 and pursue coding? Because I really loved it, but I was just graduating. Did I want to go back to school again? At the time, I definitely did not want to go to school for another degree. So that's why I decided to not go back to school for computer science. Instead, I decided to go to a post-secondary, very intensive coding bootcamp. I chose BrainStation here in Toronto because this was 4 years ago, and at the time it was the top one. I'm not sure what it's like now, but at the time it was the top one, and it just seemed like a really good fit. So I applied, I got in, and honestly, if I was to apply now, I feel like the criteria to get in is so much harder. I don't know if I would have got in, but I'm very thankful at the time I did. Throughout my time at my coding bootcamp, it was extremely difficult. I cried in the bathroom pretty much every day. I had really bad anxiety. I constantly was second guessing myself, and I was not a quick learner with coding. It took me a long time, or that's how it felt anyways, that everyone was learning quicker than me. And it's really scary because when you're in a coding bootcamp in that environment, you're there because, essentially you want to get a job. And if you feel as though you aren't picking up the skills quick enough, that is a really terrifying feeling, because you go, well, I'm spending all this money on a coding bootcamp, and now I don't know if I'm going to get a job because I don't know if I'm good enough at this. And it's a whole thing. And if you're someone going through that right now, I'm telling you firsthand, just be patient, you will get there. But it can definitely not feel like that at the time. So when I graduated my coding bootcamp, I started looking around for jobs, and I saw a job listing for a quality assurance analyst. And this wasn't what I wanted to do per se. I wanted to do code development work, but it was really interesting to me because it was for a startup that I have heard of from my university days. So it was a non-for-profit startup that really specialized in providing education to people who wouldn't have access to it otherwise. Through different Android tablets, we would load education. They would choose education because who are we to tell what people should learn or not? And we would ship it off to them, and they could learn without internet. So we worked with a lot of refugee camps, a lot of communities where just internet is not accessible, which maybe to you and I seems like, what do you mean no internet? But there are so many people still on this planet without internet that they don't have access to learning or to everything that we take for granted every day. I was there for about 2 years. I did QA for 6 to 8 months, and because I knew I wanted to be a developer, I started pushing to take up some really small kind of coding tickets, and then I kept on asking my manager, please let me, take on more work, become a developer. This is my dream. This is what I worked for. And eventually, by communicating constantly with them that this is what I wanted to do, they knew that if they didn't let me become a developer, they'd probably lose me to a different company where I could pursue development work. So I stayed there for 2 years, and I definitely outgrew the company and was ready for something else. From there, I started looking around, and I ended up getting a job at IBM as a technical consultant. So what that really entails is software development work, so coding every day, building projects, but on the consulting side. So I'm building projects for different clients. So for a few months, it might be working with one programming language, one framework, maybe building a web app, and then the next few months, maybe building a iOS or Android app. It really varies based on what the client wants and what the requirements are. And that's where I currently am today, and I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm a forever learner and just constantly learning new things. It's really exciting to me. So that's a little bit about, or a lot about, my journey into coding and where I am at today with it. And I think it's really important to share our stories, and I want to share my story because not everyone has this linear path into what they want to be, whether it's coding or otherwise. There is so much opportunity out there, and with the internet nowadays, we are forever learning and being exposed to new things that maybe we didn't even know was part of our career path or an option for us. Growing up for me, I was never put in front of Legos or video games or computer games. It was always baking or dolls or that kind of thing. So naturally, I was never really exposed to any technology or using my problem solving or logic side of my brain. It was more the creativity side. And I think that's a whole other thing that we really need to take a look at as society is encouraging both women and men to, explore technology, explore STEM careers too, starting from a young age, but that's for a different video. Anyways, I'm super happy I discovered coding whenever it was. I think I was 22 or 23 when I discovered it. I got my first job at 24, 25 after I graduated, and now I am turning 29 next month. So it's never too late to start learning how to code. It's never too early. If you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s or beyond, you can still learn how to code. And I really think the future of work isn't that, you have to choose a career path and stick with it forever. It's more so continuing to evolve as, what around us does too, whether it be technology or otherwise. That's really how, we continue to progress forward. And even if your skills don't directly correlate over into the new industry you're getting into, there's going to be some overlaps, whether it be soft skills or technical skills. So that's my take on it. I hope you enjoyed going through kind of my journey into coding and what I do now. And then of course, to bring in Tiff in Tech, I started it because I really wanted to inspire others that they too can make a career switch or go after what they want, that you don't have to stay with one thing just because you went to school for it or just because that's all you know. There's so much out there, and it's never too late to make that switch. Thank you all for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tech and coding related videos. As always, leave in the comments other videos you want to see, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.